Hello everyone, I am Serge Zulfikar and today I am going to solve past papers of ICATS Science for grade 9 and 10 year 2024. Question number 1. In an ecosystem, four major independent components were in the given proportions. If male cats are removed from the given ecosystem, then which of these figures would show the new composition of the same ecosystem after a gap of 3 years? So here we can see that in the original bar graph, the number of mice is smaller than the numbers of cats, bees, and plants. So if male cats are removed from the ecosystem, after 3 years there will be more mice because cats eat mice. So with fewer cats over time, the number of mice will grow. There will be less plants as well because mice eat plants. So more mice will lead to more plants being eaten, which will reduce the number of plants. As an effect, there will be fewer bees as well because bees rely on plants for food. If there are fewer plants, the number of bees may also decrease. So the new composition of the same ecosystem after a gap of 3 years is represented in option A. So we'll choose it as our correct option. Question number 2. Ali prepared a flow chart to show classification of fibers and plastics. He left few columns blank. Fill in the blanks by choosing the options with correct words. Option A, P, plant fibers, Q, animal fibers, R, thermoplastics, S, thermosetting. Option B is P, animal fibers, Q, plant fibers, R, thermosettings, S, thermoplastics. Option C is P, rayon, Q, animal fibers, R, biodegradable, S, non-biodegradable. Option D is P, animal fibers, Q, plant fibers, R is non-biodegradable, and S is biodegradable. So let's read the flow chart. There are fibers and plastics are given, and fibers are divided into two further parts, natural and synthetic. Now, the natural fibers are divided into plant fiber and animal fiber because plant fibers include cotton and cellulose and animal fiber includes silk and wool. So we can say that P is animal fiber because silk and wool are in the animal fibers category, and Q is representing the plant fiber because cotton and cellulose are plant fibers. So let's see the other part of the flow chart, which is plastics. Plastics are classified as thermosetting plastics and thermoplastics. Thermosetting plastics are those plastics which do not soften on heating and are used in electrical fittings, for example, bakelite and melamine. And thermoplastics, these plastics soften when heated and can be remolded, for example, polyvinyl chloride and polystyrene. So we can say that R is representing thermostatic plastics since it includes bakelite and melamine, and S is representing thermoplastics since it includes PVC and polystyrene. So here we can say that P is representing animal fiber, Q is representing plant fiber, R is representing thermosetting plastics, and S is representing thermoplastics, which is represented in option B. Question number 3. Zara, a class 9 student, heated a beaker containing ice and water as demonstrated in the given figure. She measured the temperature of the content of the beaker as a function of time. Which of the following graphs would correctly represent the result? So here we can see a beaker has ice and water and it is being heated. As heat is applied, ice melts at 0 degrees Celsius and temperature stays the same until all ice is melted. Then water heats up from 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius. After that, water boils to 100 degrees Celsius. And temperature stays the same until all water turns to steam. So four graphs are given to us, but we will choose option D here. The reason is the line is starting at 0 degrees Celsius because there is ice in the beaker. Then there is a flat section at 0 degrees Celsius which is showing the melting phase of ice. After that, it shows a steady increase in temperature as the water heats up. So that's why we'll choose option D here, which is the correct representation of the whole experiment. Question number 4. A bicycle is being paddled on a horizontal road. The forces of friction between the road and the front and rear wheels are F1 and F2 respectively. Then option A, both F1 and F2 act in the forward direction. Option B, both F1 and F2 act in the backward direction. Option C, F1 acts in the forward direction, F2 acts in the backward direction. And option D is F1 acts in the backward direction, F2 acts in the forward direction. So when a bicycle moves forward when we pedal, which applies force to the rear wheel. Rear wheel is also called paddle wheel. The rear wheel spins forward when we pedal, but the part of the wheel touching the road pushes backwards. So friction pushes forward, which helps the bicycle to move. So we can say the friction on the rear wheel acts forward. Now let's discuss the front wheel, which is called rolling wheel as well. So the front wheel is not paddled, it moves because the bike is rolling. As the bike moves, friction at the front wheel pushes backwards to slow it down. So F1, which is friction on the front wheel, acts backwards. So we can say that F1 acts in the backward direction on the front wheel and F2 acts in the forward direction at the rear wheel. So option D is the correct option here. Question number 5. A large forest area got burnt in a massive fire. The species that would invade such weird area to rapidly colonize it have dash, dash, and dash characteristics. Fill up the blanks from the given choices and select the correct option. The first option is long lifespan, second is rapid reproduction, third is fast growth, fourth is strong dispersal ability, fifth is strong defense against natural enemies or predators, and the sixth option is large sized individuals. So, to solve this, we need to determine the characteristics of species that rapidly colonize a burned forest area. So, the key traits of pioneer species are rapid reproduction. These species reproduce quickly to establish their population. Fast growth. They grow quickly to take advantage of the available space and resources. Strong dispersal ability. They spread their seeds or offspring widely to colonize new area. So let's check the options one by one. Option A is 1, 2, and 3. Long lifespan, rapid reproduction, and fast growth. Here, long lifespan is not a trait of pioneer species, so it's incorrect. Option B is second, third, and fourth, like rapid reproduction, fast growth, and strong dispersal ability. So it matches the key pioneer traits, so we'll choose option B here, but let's check the option C and D as well. So option C is 1, 4, and 6, which is a long lifespan, strong dispersal ability, and large sized individuals. So it is incorrect because long lifespan and large size are not pioneer traits. So option D is third, fourth, and sixth, which are fast growth, strong dispersal ability, and large sized individuals. So that is also incorrect because large size is not typical of pioneer species. So our correct option is option B. Question number 6. Read the below given passage and answer the following question. In a small South American country, the government decided to approve a large scale logging operation in one of the country's most biodiverse rainforests. The project aims to boost the economy by selling valuable timber and creating jobs for the local population. However, as the deforestation begins, the local indigenous communities and environmental activists protest against the destruction of the forest. Scientists warn that the logging could disrupt the region's ecosystem, endanger species that rely on the forest, and contribute to climate change by releasing stored carbon. So, after 5 years, satellite images show that nearly 40% of the forest has been cut down. Rivers that used to flow consistently are now seasonal, and many species of birds, mammals, and amphibians have either migrated or disappeared. The temperature in the region has increased slightly, and local farmers complain of droughts affecting their crops. Let's understand the passage first. The government allowed cutting trees in a rainforest to make money and provide jobs. But this caused problems like loss of plants and animals. Water cycles changed, making rivers dry up. Weather got hotter and farmers faced droughts. More carbon was released, which contributed to climate change. What are potential long term consequences of the logging operation, both locally and globally? Option A is loss of biodiversity and disruption of water cycles locally with minimal global impact, which is incorrect because climate change is global. Option B is immediate economic prosperity for local communities with no environmental consequences, which is incorrect because the passage shows clear environmental harm. Option C is loss of biodiversity, disruption of water cycles, release of carbon into the atmosphere, and contribution to global climate change, which is our correct option because it matches with the passage. Option D, improved biodiversity due to the removal of older trees and stabilization of local climate, which is incorrect because the passage says the opposite. So I'll choose option C here. Question number 7, read the below given passage and answer the following questions. Sophie is a marine biologist who have been studying plastic pollution in the Pacific Ocean for over a decade. During her research, she observed that the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a massive collection of plastic waste, has grown at an alarming rate. She joins a team developing a new technology aimed at reducing the amount of plastic in the ocean. The technology uses large floating barriers to trap plastic and funnel it toward a collection area. The goal is to remove millions of tons of plastic, but Sophie is concerned that this solution might have unintended consequences for marine life. There are also challenges related to where the collection plastic will go, as most countries are not equipped to recycle such large amount of waste. 6 months into the project, Sophie notices a decline in certain species of fish near the cleanup site. Further, research reveals that many marine animals like sea turtles are getting trapped in the collection system. The team debates whether to continue, adjust the design, or abandon the project altogether. Sophie is a scientist studying plastic pollution in the Pacific Ocean. She joins a team that traps plastic to clean the ocean. But she worries that marine animals like turtles and fish are getting trapped too. So the team must decide how to fix the problem. What should Sophie and her team consider before continuing the project? Option A, they should prioritize removing as much plastic as possible without considering the impact of marine life, which is not right because harming marine life is a big issue. Option B is they should halt the project immediately as any form of ocean cleanup is detrimental to marine life, which is not right because cleaning the ocean is still important. Option C is they should only focus on educating the public about plastic pollution and avoid using technological interventions, which is not correct because cleanup is still needed. So, option D is that they should redesign the system to minimize harm to marine animals while continuing efforts to reduce plastic waste. That can be our correct option because it solves both problems. So, we'll choose option D here. During a school trip to the beach, Nan notices that the sand feels much hotter than the water on a sunny day. Even though they are both exposed to the same sunlight, why does the sand heat up more quickly than the water? So the key concept here is heat capacity, which is the amount of heat required to change the temperature of a substance. Water has high heat capacity, meaning it takes more energy to increase its temperature, whereas sand has a lower heat capacity, so it heats up quickly when exposed to sunlight. So let's check our options. Option A is sand has a higher heat capacity than water, which is incorrect because sand has a lower heat capacity. Option B is water absorbs more sunlight than sand, which is incorrect because sand absorbs more heat and warms up faster. The option C is sand has a lower heat capacity than water, which is true because that's the reason that sand heats up quickly. Option D is water reflects more sunlight than sand. It is partially true, but here the reason is heat capacity, not reflection. So I'll choose option C as our correct option here. Question number 9, read the below given passage and answer the following question. A small island nation in the Pacific is experiencing the direct effects of climate change. Over the past decade, sea levels have risen significantly, causing flooding in coastal villages. The island's freshwater sources have become contaminated with salt water and farmers are struggling to grow crops. Cyclones, which were once rare, now strike the island every year, destroying homes and infrastructure. The government of the island is trying to find solutions. Some experts recommend building sea walls to protect the coast, but this is expensive and might only provide a temporary solution. Others suggest that the island's population may eventually need to be relocated to another country. However, neighboring countries are reluctant to take in thousands of people. The islanders who have lived there for generations are resident to the area of living their homeland. So let's interpret the data given in the passage. So a small island is facing climate change problems like rising sea levels, flooding, and stronger storms. Farmers are struggling because the water is becoming too salty for crops. The government is trying to find a long-term solution, and some suggest building sea walls while others think people may need to leave the island. What are the main challenges the island nation faces, and what could be the most sustainable long-term solution? So let's check our options. Option A is the island should build sea walls which will provide a permanent solution to the rising sea levels, which is incorrect because sea walls are only a temporary fix. Option B is the islanders should be evacuated to another country immediately to avoid future disasters, which is not correct because relocating thousands of people is difficult and not the only option. So now the next option is international cooperation is needed to both provide aid for adaptation, that is, sea walls, new farming techniques, and create policies for climate refugees if relocation becomes necessary. So it can be a correct option because it will solve the problems for the short term and long term. Option D is the islanders should stop farming and fishing and switch to industrial jobs to solve their economic problems, which is incorrect because farming and fishing are important for their survival. So here option C is the most optimal solution. So we'll choose it as our correct option. Question number 10. Arif leaves his bicycle outside during the rainy season. After a few weeks, he notices rust forming on the metal parts. What causes the rust on Arif's bike? So rust forms due to the chemical reaction between iron, water, and oxygen, which results in iron oxide, that is called rust as well. So now let's check our options. Option A is rust forms when metal is exposed to sunlight for too long, which is incorrect because rust is caused by water and oxygen, not sunlight. Option B is water and oxygen cause a chemical reaction that produces rust, which is the correct option because this is the process of oxidation. Option C is the tires on the bike wear down, causing rust. That is incorrect because rust forms on metal, not tires. Option D is metal expands in wet conditions, creating rust. That is incorrect because metal does not expand in water. Rust is due to oxidation. So I'll choose option B here. Question number 11. Read the below given passage and answer the following question. In a developing country, a large mining corporation has set up operations near a major river. The company extracts valuable metals such as gold and silver using chemicals like mercury and cyanide to the process. Local communities rely on the river for drinking water, fishing, and agriculture. Over time, villagers begin to notice strange changes. Fish in the river are dying, the water has a strange metallic taste, and some children are falling ill with skin rashes and other health problems. Investigations reveal that the mining operation is releasing toxic chemicals into the river. The mining company denies responsibility, arguing that the river was already polluted before they arrived. The government, which benefits financially from the mine, is slow to act. Meanwhile, the villagers are organizing protests demanding that the company be held accountable and that the river be cleaned. So, in this passage, the mining company is using harmful chemicals like mercury and cyanide near a river. The local villagers rely on the river for drinking water, fishing, and farming. Over time, fish are dying, the water tastes strange, and children are getting sick. Investigations prove the mining company is polluting the river, but it denies responsibility. The government is slow to act because it benefits financially from the mine, and villagers are protesting, demanding actions. So, what steps should the government and the mining company take to address the environmental and health crisis? Option A is the government should continue to allow mining as it boosts the economy while villagers find new water resources, which is incorrect because it ignores the pollution problems. Option B is the mining company should install proper waste treatment systems and compensate affected communities while the government enforces stricter environmental regulations, which is our correct option because it provides a solution that addresses both the pollution and the health risks. Option C is villagers should move away from the river to avoid health risk, and the mining company should be allowed to continue without interference, which is not correct because it ignores the company's responsibility for pollution. Option D is the government should shut down the mine entirely, even if it negatively impacts the economy, which is wrong because the balance is needed. Regulations and waste treatment can allow mining to continue responsibly. So, here option B is the most optimal option. Question number 12, Bilal is hiking in the mountains with his family. He notices that it's harder to breathe the higher they go. Why is breathing more difficult at high altitudes? So, at high altitudes, the air pressure decreases, which means there are fewer oxygen molecules in each breath. This makes it harder to breathe and get enough oxygen into the bloodstream. So, let's check our options one by one. Option A is the air contains more oxygen at higher altitude, which is incorrect because the oxygen concentration remains the same, but the lower air pressure means fewer oxygen molecules are available. So option B is the air pressure is lower, reducing the amount of oxygen available. That is our correct option. This explains why breathing is more difficult at high altitudes. Option C is the cold air restricts breathing. That is incorrect because temperature is not the main factor affecting oxygen availability here. Option D is breathing is faster at high altitude, causing discomfort. This is incorrect because breathing may become faster, but the difficulty in breathing is due to lower oxygen availability. So I'll choose option B here. The air pressure is lower, reducing the amount of oxygen available. Question number 13, read the below given passage and answer the following question. A large city in Asia is facing an air quality crisis. Over the past few years, rapid urbanization and industrial growth have caused pollution levels to spike. The air is thick with smoke, and the number of people suffering from respiratory issues has increased dramatically. Public health experts warn that if nothing changes, the city's hospitals will be overwhelmed and life expectancy will decrease. The city government is considering a few options. It could impose stricter regulations on factories and vehicles, limiting emissions. However, businesses are pushing back, arguing that these regulations would hurt the economy and lead to job losses. Another option is to encourage the use of electric vehicles and invest in green energy, but the cost of such projects is high and it would take years to see significant results. So, the information that is given in the passage is a large city in Asia is experiencing an air quality crisis due to rapid urbanization and industrial growth. Smoke and population have caused a rise in respiratory illnesses, and hospitals are struggling. Option A is continue with business as usual to maintain economic growth despite the health risk, which is incorrect because it ignores the urgent pollution crisis. Option B is implement strict pollution control regulations immediately, even if it leads to economic losses in the short term. Which is wrong because it prioritizes health but may harm the economy too much. Option C is gradually transition to electric vehicles and green energy while enforcing moderate pollution control measures, balancing environmental and economic needs. That is our correct option because it provides a balanced approach, reducing pollution while keeping economic growth in mind. Option D is relocate factories to rural areas to reduce urban pollution without addressing the root causes, which is incorrect because it just shifts the problem elsewhere instead of fixing it. So we will choose option C here as our correct option. Question number 14, Hamza notices that when he puts ice in his glass of water, the ice floats. Why does ice float in water? So ice floats in water because it is less dense than liquid water. When water freezes, its molecules arrange in a crystalline structure that occupies more space, making ice less dense than water. So now let's check our options one by one. So option A is ice is less dense than water, which is correct because this is a scientific reason that why ice floats. So we choose option A as our correct answer, but let's read the option B, C, and D as well. Option B is the water pushes the ice upwards. So that is incorrect because beyond force acts on all submerged objects. But the key reason ice floats is that it has lower density. Option C is ice has trapped air bubbles that make it float. That is incorrect because while ice may contain some air, the basic reason is it floats because of its lower density. Option D is the cold temperature makes ice lighter than water, which is incorrect because temperature affects density, but it's the structure of ice that makes it less dense. So I'll choose option A here. Question number 15. A team is designing a solar energy system for a small house. They must choose the orientation of the solar panels. What is the optimal orientation for solar panels in the northern hemisphere to maximize sunlight exposure? So, in the northern hemisphere, the optimal orientation for solar panels to maximize sunlight exposure is south facing. This is because the sun moves from east to west but is always slightly towards the south. A south facing orientation ensures the panels receive the maximum direct sunlight throughout the day. So now let's check our options one by one. Option A is north facing, which is incorrect because north facing panels receive minimum direct sunlight in the northern hemisphere. Option B is east facing, which is incorrect because east facing panels get good morning sunlight but miss out on the stronger afternoon sunlight. So option C is west facing. That is also incorrect because west facing panels get afternoon sunlight but miss morning exposure. Option D is south facing. This is our correct option because south facing panels receive the most sunlight throughout the day. Question number 16. Larry made a batch of bread dough and divided it into two balls of equal size. He measured the dough balls and then placed one in an 80-degree Fahrenheit warming cabinet and the other in a 60-degree Fahrenheit warming cabinet. The cabinets each had 75% humidity. Larry let the dough expand in the warming cabinet for 2 hours, leaving the dough on the pan. He then measured the dough balls again and calculated how much they had expanded. Larry repeated this process with 9 more batches of bread dough, alternating which warming cabinet was set to 80-degree Fahrenheit and which was set to 60-degree Fahrenheit. Identify the question that the experiment can best answer. So option A is, does a humidity level of 75% cause bread dough to expand more than a humidity level of 60%? Which is incorrect because humidity was not changed in the experiment. Option B is bread dough that expands at 80-degree Fahrenheit stretchier than the bread dough that expands at 60-degree Fahrenheit? That is also incorrect because stretchiness was not measured, only expansion was recorded. Option C is, does bread dough expand more at 80-degree Fahrenheit or at 60-degree Fahrenheit? So this is our correct option because this is exactly what Larry tested, the effect of temperature on dough expansion. And option D is all of above. So we'll choose option C here. Does bread dough expand more at 80 degrees Fahrenheit or at 60-degree Fahrenheit? Question number 17. One evening, Amir looks up and notices that the moon appears larger and brighter than usual. Why does the moon sometimes look larger and brighter? The reason the moon sometimes looks larger and brighter is due to its orbit around Earth. The moon follows an elliptical orbit, meaning that there are times when it is closer to Earth and times when it is farther away. So, when the moon is closer to Earth, it appears larger and brighter in the sky. So option A is the Earth's atmosphere magnifies the moon, which is incorrect because Earth's atmosphere can cause some optical illusion like the moon illusion, but it does not magnify the moon in the way that it makes it truly larger and brighter. Option B is the sun is shining directly on the moon, which is also incorrect because the sun always shines on the moon. This does not explain why it appears larger and brighter at certain times. Option C, the moon absorbs more sunlight on certain days, which is incorrect because the moon does not absorb more sunlight on any specific days. Option D, the moon is closer to Earth in its orbit, which is our correct option because the moon looks larger and brighter when it is closer to the Earth in its orbit. So I'll choose option D here. Question number 18, Aida's family uses a refrigerator to keep their food fresh. She learns in science class that lower temperatures slow down the process of food spoilage. Why does food spoil more slowly in the refrigerator? So food spoils more slowly in the refrigerator because lower temperatures slow down the bacteria growth. While bacteria can still grow at cold temperatures, their activity and reproduction slow significantly, which delay the food spoilage. So option A is bacteria grow more quickly at lower temperatures, which is incorrect because bacteria grow more slowly at lower temperatures and not more quickly. Option B is bacteria cannot grow at lower temperatures, which is incorrect because bacteria can still grow at lower temperatures just at a slower rate. Option C is bacteria grow more slowly at lower temperatures, which is correct. Option D is bacteria are killed by lower temperatures, which is incorrect because cold temperatures do not necessarily kill bacteria. They only just slow down their growth, and freezing might kill some bacteria, but refrigerator does not. So we'll choose option C here. Bacteria grow more slowly at lower temperatures. Question number 19, Salman is trying to boil water at the top of a mountain. Even though the water heats up, it boils at a lower temperature than it does at sea level. He is confused as to why this is happening. Why does water boil at a lower temperature at high altitudes? Water boils at a lower temperature at high altitudes because atmospheric pressure is lower, which reduces the boiling point of water. So let's evaluate our options one by one. Option A is the water is colder at high altitude, which is incorrect. While the air temperature might be colder at higher altitudes, this is not the reason for the lower boiling point. Option B, the atmospheric pressure is lower, which reduces the boiling point of water. So that is our correct option because lower atmospheric pressure at high altitude means water molecules need less energy to escape into vapor, which slow down the boiling point. Option C is water molecules move more slowly at higher altitudes, lowering the boiling point, which is incorrect. Option D is the oxygen level is higher at higher altitudes, causing the water to boil faster, which is incorrect because oxygen levels are actually lower at high altitudes, not higher. And this does not affect the boiling point. So we'll choose option B here. Question number 20. While visiting a cold region, Sabha notices that the lake water is not frozen, even though the air temperature is well below freezing. She wonders why the water remains liquid. Why doesn't the lake water freeze despite the freezing air temperature? So, the reason lake water does not freeze despite freezing air temperatures is because ice forms on the surface, which insulates the water below and keep it liquid. So now let's check our options. Option A is the lake water is too deep to freeze, which is incorrect because deep lakes can still freeze at the surface. Depth does not prevent freezing. Option B is water releases heat as it cools, preventing freezing, which is incorrect because while water does release heat as it cools, this does not stop freezing. Option C is the movement of water in the lake keeps it from freezing. That is incorrect because movement can slow freezing but does not entirely stop it. Option D is ice forms on the surface, insulating the water below and keeping it liquid. That is our correct option because ice on the surface acts as an insulator which prevents the lower layers from freezing quickly. Question number 21, Zan reads about the greenhouse effect and learns that Earth's temperature is increasing because of it. He thinks the greenhouse effect should be bad, but he also learns that it's necessary for life. Why is the greenhouse effect necessary for life on Earth, even though it can contribute to global warming? So, the greenhouse effect is necessary for life on Earth because it helps maintain Earth's temperature by trapping some heat, making the planet habitable. Second is it creates clouds that protect Earth from harmful radiation, which is incorrect because clouds do not form due to greenhouse effect and they do not primarily protect Earth from harmful radiation. Option B is it allows plants to grow faster by trapping heat, which is not correct because while plants benefit from warmth, the greenhouse effect is not primarily about the plant growth. Option C is it helps maintain Earth's temperature by trapping some heat, making the planet habitable. That is our correct option because the greenhouse effect traps heat, keeping Earth warm enough for life to exist. So we'll choose option C as our correct option, but let's read the option D as well. Option D is it protects Earth from cold space temperatures by forming a heat shield. That is not correct because it does not form a heat shield but rather retains heat through atmospheric gases. So we'll choose option C here. Question number 22. Hassan leaves his phone charging overnight. In the morning, he notices that the phone is very hot. Even though it's fully charged, he wonders why it overheats. Why did Hassan's phone overheat while charging? So, Hassan's phone was charging overnight and became very hot. We need to figure out why this happened. So, option A is the charger continues to provide energy even after the battery is full, converting excess energy into heat. So that is our correct option because even after the phone is fully charged, the charger keeps sending energy which is converted into heat. This is why the phone gets hot. Option B is the phone overheats because it was in use while charging. That is incorrect because the phone can overheat if used while charging. But the question does not mention Hassan using it. Option C is the battery expands while charging, generating heat. That is incorrect. The battery does not expand while charging. Instead, excess energy turns into heat. Option D is the phone absorbs heat from the surroundings during charging, which is incorrect because the phone does not get hot by absorbing heat from the surroundings. It generates heat internally due to the charge. So here we will choose option A as our correct option. The charger continues to provide energy even after the battery is full, converting excess energy into heat. Question number 23. Ahmed notices that his kitchen faucet drips water continuously even though it's closed tightly. His father explains that a small part inside the faucet might be worn out. Which part of the faucet is most likely causing the leak and why is it important to replace it? So, the washer is a small rubber piece that stops water from leaking when the faucet is closed. If it gets old or damaged, water will keep dripping. Replacing the washer will fix the leak and save water. Option A is the faucet handle because it needs to tighten the pipe, which is not correct because the handle just turns the water on and off. It does not stop leaks. Option B is the washer because it seals the valve to prevent water from leaking. That is our correct option. Option C is the aerator because it controls the water pressure, which is not right because the aerator controls how fast water comes out, but it does not stop leaks. Option D is the pipe because it's too old. And that is also incorrect because the pipes bring water to the faucet, but the problem is inside the faucet, not the pipes. So we'll choose option B here, the washer, because it seals the wall to prevent water from leaking. Question number 24. During the design of a tall building, engineers consider the effects of wind on its stability. What design feature can help improve the structural integrity of the building against high winds? So, so when designing a tall building, engineers must make sure it can stand strong against strong winds. Let's check our options. Option A is rounded edges, which is incorrect because this can reduce wind resistance but does not make the building stronger. Option B is lightweight materials, which is incorrect because lighter materials may make the building weaker in strong winds. Option C is cross bracing in the framework. which is our correct answer because cross bracing means adding diagonal supports inside the building structure. These supports make the building stronger and more stable, so it does not bend or shake too much in the wind. Option D is tall, narrow windows, which is not right because this may reduce wind pressure on windows but does not help the whole building stay strong. So, option C is the only correct option here. The cross bracing in the framework can help improve the structural integrity of the building against high winds. Question number 25. While walking on a rainy day, Sarah notices that the roads are slippery. Her brother, an engineering student, explains that the smooth surface of the asphalt contributes to the problem. Why are roads more slippery when wet? And how can engineers reduce the slipperiness of roads? So, when it rains, roads become slippery because water reduces friction between tires and the road. Friction is what helps cars stay on the road without sliding. So now let's read the options. Option A is water weakens the road structure and engineers need to use stronger materials, which is incorrect because water may damage roads over time, but it does not explain why they are slippery. Option B is water washes away dirt, making the road slippery, and engineers can add chemicals to improve friction, which is not right because water can wash dirt away, but that does not cause slipperiness. Option C is the rain increases air pressure, making roads slippery, and engineers need to reduce the road's temperature. That is also incorrect because rain does not affect air pressure in the way that it makes roads slippery. Option D is water reduces friction between tires and the road, and engineers can add rough surfaces or grooves to increase traction. So that is our correct option because engineers make roads safer by adding grooves or rough textures to increase friction so that cars do not slip easily. So I'll choose option D here. Question number 26. While crossing a bridge, Hina notices small gaps at regular intervals between sections of the road. Her uncle explains that these gaps are expansion joints, but she isn't sure why they are necessary. What is the purpose of expansion joints in roads and bridges? So option A is they allow the materials to expand and contract with temperature changes, preventing cracks, which is our correct option because bridges and roads expand and contract when the temperature changes. If there were no gaps, the materials would crack or break due to this movement. These small gaps, called expansion joints, allow the materials to move safely without damage. And option B is they prevent water from pooling on the road, which is incorrect because expansion joints are not designed for water drainage. Option C is they reduce road noise from cars, which is not correct because they do not reduce road noise. In fact, cars may make sounds when passing over them. Option D is they help distribute the weight of vehicles more evenly. That is also incorrect because bridges are designed to handle weight, but expansion joints are mainly for temperature changes. So here option A is our correct option. Question number 27. While traveling by airplane, Bilal looks out of a window and wonders why airplane wings are shaped in a curved way. He asks his cousin, an aerospace engineer, why are airplane wings curved on the top and flat on the bottom? What could have been his reply? So, option A is the curved shape reduces the weight of the airplane, which is incorrect because the shape does not make the plane lighter. Option B is the shape creates lift by causing air to move faster over the top of the wing, generating lower pressure and lifting the plane. That is our correct option because airplane wings are designed in a special way to help the plane lift off the ground. The curved top and flat bottom make air move faster over the top of the wing. This creates lower pressure on top and higher pressure below, pushing the plane upwards. So option C is the wings are curved to increase the fuel efficiency of the airplane. That is incorrect because it helps with lift, but fuel efficiency depends on other factors. Option D is the curved shape helps balance the plane during turns, which is also incorrect. So we'll choose option B here as our correct option. Question number 28. Noor's family is building a new house and she notices that the workers are digging deep trenches before constructing the walls. Her father explains that this is necessary for the foundation. Why are deep foundations necessary for buildings, especially tall structures? Option A. Deep foundations protect the building from earthquakes by absorbing ground movement, which is incorrect because deep foundations help with stability, but they do not absorb ground movement. Option B is deep foundations keep water from damaging the structure, which is not correct because some foundations help with water, but that is not the main reason for deep trenches. Option C is deep foundations prevent the building from sinking into the ground due to its weight. That is our correct option because buildings, especially tall ones, need deep foundations so they do not sink into the ground because of their heavy weight. The foundation spreads out the weight and keeps the building strong and stable. So option C is our correct option here. Last option is deep foundations prevent heat from escaping the building, which is not correct because heat is controlled by insulation, not the foundation depth. So I'll choose option C here. Question number 29. Ultrasound is emitted from a ship directly downwards into water. The diagram below shows the time duration for ultrasound to return to the receiver on the ship as the ship travels from point X to point Y along the surface of the water. At which position is the water deepest? So the deepest water is where the ultrasound wave takes the longest time to return. This happens because the wave has to travel farther down and back up. From the graph, point Q has the highest time value, meaning the ultrasound wave took the longest to return. This means Q is where the water is deepest. So we'll choose option C here. Question number 30. Identify crops X and Y from the below given table and select the correct option regarding them. Crops X. These crops are grown in hot and wet conditions. These crops are sown in beginning of rainy season in June, July. These crops are harvested during September, October. So it matches the harvesting period of Kharif crops. And example of Kharif crops are rice, maize, groundnut, cotton, and green gram. Now crops Y. These crops are grown in cold and nearly dry conditions. These crops are sown in October, November when monsoon is retreated. These crops are harvested in March, April. So it matches the harvesting period of Rabi crops. The examples of the Rabi crops are wheat, barley, mustard, and linseed. Option A, crop X could be wheat and whereas crop Y could be cotton. It is incorrect because wheat is a Rabi crop but cotton is a Kharif crop. The sowing and harvesting details do not match. Option B is crop X could be green gram whereas crop Y could be linseed. That is our correct option because green gram is a Kharif crop and linseed is a Rabi crop. This matches the pattern. So we'll choose option B as our correct option. Option C is crop X could be groundnut whereas crop Y could be jute, which is not right because both groundnut and jute are Kharif crops, but Y should be a Rabi crop. Option D is crop X could be rice whereas crop Y could be soybean. That is also incorrect because both rice and soybean are Kharif crops, but Y should be Rabi crop. So we'll choose option B here. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.